Hi you guys, so this video is going to be about achieving that dream of taking your family on a Disney vacation abroad. Now I know that Disney vacations are kind of always desirable, and especially if you have a family with small children, it's kind of like a rite of passage to take them to a Disney park. But maybe you're kind of looking for something a little bit outside of the box, and you don't want to just take them to the conventional Disneys, meaning Orlando or Anaheim. Now, I have been to all the Disney parks in the world multiple times, except for Disneyland in Paris, so I'm not going to be talking about that one. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Asian parks, which there are 3. In this video, I'm going to be talking about kind of what your concerns might be, how you can handle those concerns, and any general tips I have for you for that experience of taking your family on a Disney vacation abroad. So first off, how to choose which park to visit. So as I said before, there are 3 parks. Those parks are as follows: Hong Kong Disneyland, located in Hong Kong; Tokyo Disneyland, which is actually 2 parks right next to each other, Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea; and the newest park in the Disney family is Shanghai Disneyland, located in Shanghai, China. Now they all present challenges and rewards, so I'm going to kind of go in order of easiest to visit to the most challenging. None of them are going to be something you can't handle, but there are different challenges for each park. So the easiest park to visit, I would definitely say, is Hong Kong Disneyland. Hong Kong itself used to be a British colony, so everything is also in English. Yes, it's in Cantonese, but it's also in English, so it's an extremely easy city to maneuver if you're an English speaker. It has quite possibly the best public transportation in the world. It has what is called the MTR, which is the mass transit rail system, and it goes everywhere, and everything's also in English, and it's very affordable, super easy to get from the airport to Disney and to go out into the city. Taxis are also pretty affordable, so you can do that, and the bus system is also really, really easy to maneuver. The second easiest, or the second most challenging park would probably be Tokyo. Tokyo also has a really, really great rail system and public transport. Their rail system is a little bit more difficult because some of it is just in Japanese. It's still, you can maneuver it, but it takes a little bit more time. You also have to be careful to avoid rush hour. I unfortunately have been in Tokyo and taken the metro during rush hour, and it's horrible. It's so bad. Don't do it, especially if you have a family with you. No, you need to avoid that at all costs, which is kind of annoying sometimes if you're staying off property. You want to get to the park at a certain time, but you have to go later because you're avoiding rush hour. It can just get kind of annoying. There's motorbikes. Anyway. Shut up! Where was I? Taxis you want to avoid at all costs because it is just too redonkulously expensive. It's out of this world. Don't even try. Japan as a whole is a pretty easy, country to visit as a tourist. A lot of Japanese people speak English as well, so you don't really have to worry too much about that. Now, the most challenging of the locations would probably be Shanghai Disneyland, only because China as itself is kind of a challenging country. It's totally worth visiting for sure, but it just presents different challenges that Hong Kong and Japan don't really have. For one, there's a lot of signage that is not in English at all. A lot of it is just purely in Mandarin, so it can be a little bit more challenging to get around. I'm going to say challenge a lot in this video, by the way. A lot of Chinese people don't really speak that much English, so you have to do a lot more miming. One thing that Shanghai does have going for it is the metro system is really good. It's more along the lines of Hong Kong. It's not quite as complicated as Japan. Japan has a lot of weird things with transfer that confused me a lot, and both Shanghai and Hong Kong is pretty straightforward. Also, Shanghai's taxis are more in line with the pricing of Hong Kong, so it's not ridiculously expensive. You could take a taxi if you really needed to. The other thing about China that can be a little bit more complicated is the visa process. Now, Shanghai has just opened, which I think is kind of because of Shanghai Disneyland, they've just started doing 144-hour free visa, which is 6 days. So you can stay in Shanghai for 6 days without paying for a visa. But if you want to leave Shanghai, or if you want to stay for longer than 6 days, you have to get a visa, which isn't super complicated, but it's just another layer of something that you have to do that you don't have to deal with in Japan or Hong Kong. So if you're planning to, go up to Beijing, go to the Great Wall, or you want to go somewhere else in China, you're gonna have to get a visa. So the next decision you have to make is when to go to these parks. Now, sometimes you don't have a choice, you have to go when your holidays are, and if that's the truth, you just gotta go. But if you have a choice, try and go on the off season. Hong Kong and Tokyo especially get really hot in the summer, really hot. So if you can avoid that, and obviously the crowds are going to be bigger at all three parks during the summer. In Tokyo and Shanghai, the crowds are kind of always going to be crazy, so can't really avoid that, but if you go on off season, they'll be at least a little bit less. Great times to go to the parks are months like September, November, and late January, February, March. Those are kind of universally great times to go to Disney parks. If you have to go during a really crowded time, I would suggest just go during Christmas, because Disney parks are incredible at Christmas time. They are amped up the magic tenfold, and it's just an amazing experience. My next tip is something I want to just hammer into your mind. Please, 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 just do yourself a favor and stay on property. Just do it. I know the price tag is usually kind of a shell-shocking thing, but it's worth it, and let me tell you why. If you don't know what that means to stay on property, all Disney parks have at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 resort hotels on property, meaning they are right next to the parks. You can walk to the park from your hotel. Obviously, because it's Disney, that means the price does go up, and a lot of people just don't even consider it because they think it's gonna be just not worth it. It is worth it, I promise you. I have stayed both on and off property, and I regret staying off property every single time, and I love when I stay on property. It's completely worth the price tag. And here's why. First off, you get the amazing world-class Disney service. It's comforting, it's calming. If you need anything, you just go ask a cast member and they're gonna take care of you. You also are so close to the park that, especially if you're traveling with kids, they're gonna be exhausted by mid-afternoon. You can just exit the park, go let them nap for an hour or 2, and then come back for the evening festivities. And it's so easy. Whereas if you have to leave the park and get on a metro and then take a taxi and blah, 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 you're not gonna come back. And then you're gonna miss the best time in a Disney park, which is in the evening. Also, all Disney cast members speak English. I've never, ever come into contact with a Disney cast member that didn't speak English. And if they don't speak great English, they'll go and find someone who does, like 5 feet away. So if you're staying on property, you don't have to worry about that language thing that scares everybody. It's just going to be flawless and seamless and wonderful. And stay on property. Do yourself a favor. You can thank me in the comments later, okay? The next tip, I'm using my hands so much in this video. The next tip I'm going to talk about is something that actually isn't just about the Asian Disney parks. It's Disney Parks Universal, but it's 2 things that I think a lot of people don't know about that I talk about in all my Disney videos, just in case. Fast passes and the rider switch program. So first off, fast passes. What are fast passes? Fast passes, you take your ticket, you go to a little machine most likely next to the ride that you're wanting to go on. It's not available for all rides, but it's available for like the biggest, most popular rides with the longest queues. You put your ticket in the little machine and out pops another ticket. That ticket tells you when to come back to this park. It's an hour span, so come back between 2:30 and 3:30, and you get to go through a special queue that is faster and shorter, and they only give out a certain number of those fast passes for each hour, so there's only going to be a certain amount of guests in that queue, and it's just amazing. You can cut down your queue time astronomically, and so many people don't know about fast passes. The other thing that you really, really want to know about is the rider switch program. So the rider switch program is if you're in a group and you maybe have like a 2-year-old who can't go on a bigger ride, but the rest of everybody else wants to go on the ride. So what you can do is one person can stay off the ride. Everybody else goes, waits in the queue, goes on the ride, and then when they come back, the person that waited with the baby can then skip the entire line to go on the ride because your party already waited in the queue. So then they can just go on really, really quick. It's not available for all rides, but yet again, it's available for the big rides, the ones that have height restrictions, the ones that have the really long queues. Just go up and ask a cast member if they have a ride or switch program for that ride, and they will usually, I think they give you like a lanyard or something that you hold the person who's waiting. Amazing opportunity to get to go on the rides, even if you have a baby or a small child who can't go on a lot of the rides because of their height. The last thing, and I think this is probably the most important tip, with any Disney vacation and any travel abroad, you really, really, really have to learn to go with the flow. It's essential. You can be as organized as you want. You can have every moment planned out. I feel like, especially with Disney vacations, a lot of people are like that. They're like, we're gonna start with this ride, and then we're gonna go over here, and then we're gonna fast for this, and then watch this show, blah, 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 blah. But things always go wrong, even at Disney. I know. You just have to be willing to go with the flow. And that's why I kind of always advise people to spend a little bit more time in the parks than they think. You know, they might think, oh, we can do this all in one day. Make it 2 days, just in case. What if a ride is down and you really want to do that? Whatever it is, something will go wrong. So I usually advise adding at least 1 extra day in case you miss anything that you really, really want to do. The other thing to do with the go with the flow that kind of helps with the potential that a Disney ride might be down, if you go on the official Disney sites, they will tell you what rides are down for refurbishment or what rides are going to be closed because they're fixing this or whatever. And they'll give you the dates that it'll be closed, so you can kind of be prepared. So do yourself a favor so you're not super disappointed if Indiana Jones is closed or if Tron is closed. Check the website and don't go when those rides are closed if that's the whole reason you're going. Okay? So that was a lot of information, a lot of talking. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any further questions, please let me know. I'd love to help you out. And just be brave and take your family on that Disney vacation. I promise you won't regret it, and it will be something you will talk about for the rest of your life. It's amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching, and good luck with your trip. I feel like Tron is kind of the most anticipated ride of this whole park, so I'm really excited.